the whole thing of becoming a step parent is having that clarity of who you are, who you want to be, and how you're going to get there. I'm just saying to the step parents, give yourself grace, give yourself time, and meet that child like you're just meeting another human.
Yeah.
That is it. I can tell you why it's hard for a stepmom to be a stepmom and why you are adding fuel to that fire. And then I need to be able to tell stepmoms, actually, you do not have to put on this identity that has been put out there. You can make your own.
Hello and welcome to Happy Mum, Happy Baby, Parenting SOS. On today's episode, we're going to be diving into the unique challenges and joys of being a stepmum. Now, it's estimated that around 1 in 3 families in the UK are a blended family, but despite the ever-growing number of step families, there still remains a lack of support out there. And this is particularly true for stepmums, which is what Cilla Appeaning found when she met her now husband and became step-parent to 2 boys. Cilla set up the Stepmums Club to give support to the growing community of blended families and to put a stop to the stigma attached to being a stepmum. And she joins us today. Hello, Cilla.
Hello.
I mean, you have been messaging me for quite some time.
Yes.
Saying, can we do something on being a stepmum? Can we do something on that?
Yes.
And now you're here.
Yes. I feel like I went to this one event and it was all about being a disruptor. And I feel like that fits me now. I'm in that place where I want to disrupt. So anywhere where I know the parents gather, and obviously you got the mums and you got the dads, and as time has gone on, we've brought in those that adopt. We speak about those trying to conceive and such. The conversation's expanding, but I feel like I've given people time to include step parents.
Yeah.
And they're not taking up the time. So now I'm just going to come into those spaces and then I'm going to bring up the topic myself.
It's that thing, isn't it? Like, I know that we've had guests on that have had
blended families.
Exactly that. Like Kate Ferdinand, when she was first with Rio, she came on. Fern Cotton. There are a few that have had that experience.
Yep.
And they live in blended families. But it's a very different thing to go, actually, this is an area that we need to talk about because we need to rethink how we are framing it.
Exactly. And I think it's really good. And I was really proud of Kate as well because she was a lot more honest than I thought she would be, or more open than I thought she'll be, obviously, because she's open to scrutiny, right? So I was really happy with her. The only thing I would say is that when we have a perception of women who are in hard situations but seemingly have more resources than the average person, than the everyday person, it's hard to connect. You may get that kind of sense of relatability because it's like, okay, you're talking about what I'm living, but also when we talk about aid, when we're talking about support, when we're talking about perception, those who you're speaking to who are seemingly, having access to more resources are not going to suffer the same. They're suffering, but they're not suffering the same. So I think where I come in is that I can, obviously, I'm friends with Kate, but I'm a stepmom myself and I would be classified as the everyday babe, right? So I can speak to these things, but also I'm going to be able to freely talk about some stuff.
Yeah, that people maybe in the public eye can't because they know they're
exactly, and they may want to.
Yeah.
So here, what if we get into it? Then those who are in the public eye and those who are at home doing the everyday stuff, they're all going to be like, yes, let's talk about it.
So why did you set up the Stepmums Club?
Selfish reasons completely. I was not trying to help anyone but myself. So when I got into a relationship with my husband, I was already a single mum. So I was a single mum for about 3 years and it was hard, and I was already grieving this kind of idea of the perfect nuclear family. As much as there's so many different family dynamics, I think, the one coveted family type is the mum, dad, and
We're
the
so
kids.
Conditioned.
That's what it is, right? And then when we end up in different families that look different, it's like, okay, this is how it is, and I'm gonna love where I'm at, right? So I was kind of grieving that situation, and my mum was a single mum, and I didn't really want that for myself. And then my husband came along, and then he had two sons from two different women. So I was thinking to myself, okay, fine. Never really, like, I was kind of in a blended family because my dad remarried and I have half siblings. But I never really considered myself being in a blended family. But I thought, okay, let's see what that looks like. Got into it and I came in with visions of grandeur. I was like, well, you know, I'm a single mom, so I can speak to these women, like, will relate.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm a wife and, like, I'm going to be there to support my man and I'm a mum, so I can be a mum to anyone. No, it was a lie.
Really?
Big lie. Absolutely. Like, reality hit me. And the understanding that just because you're ready doesn't mean somebody else is was a thing. And my desires doesn't mean that other people have those desires. And the way that I want to parent, and back then I didn't know about parenting styles, the way that I want to parent and what I think is important for a child to know may not be the same as other people. So I think for me, it was like, I don't have access to these women enough to try and understand what's wrong. So I can't help myself. I don't know how to move, what to do, and what is right and what is wrong. So do you know what? I'm just going to go online and I'm going to create a space where I can ask these questions to veterans, like people that have been there, overcome, and they can tell me what to do. And then it kind of just got to a place of, wow, there's somebody who's got a platform and she's not hiding her face, she's not hiding her name, and she's asking, like, she's talking about the elephants in the room. I'm just going to follow her and ask her questions, right? So I attracted more people like me as opposed to people who had overcome and are in the position that I wanted to be. And then in that kind of journey, I grew and I learned and I did a lot of trial and error and I just started to share it. So it did help me.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a thing where I was helping other people.
So many conversations out there are about speaking, about putting out your experience. Being vulnerable, finding, like, putting your experience out there so that others can understand, so you can get that support. But if you feel like you're already in a place where, because of all sorts of cartoons and stuff that we would have grown up with, you know, the wicked stepmother, you know, all of that stuff, you're already set up in a way. Yeah, you're set up in a way where people look at you as if you've done something wrong.
Absolutely. And I remember there was one time I was doing a mummy-daughter date with my second-born daughter. And she would have been like maybe 5 or 4 at the time. And we were talking about stepmoms, and she was like, oh yeah, because stepmoms are wicked. And I stopped her and I said, what am I? And she was like, yeah, but no, you're not wicked. And I was like, why am I not wicked? Yeah, because you're mummy, like, you love my brothers. And I was like, but I'm a stepmom. And she really just couldn't marry the two. All of that needs to stop. Yeah. All of this is silly. We need to nip it in the bud now. When we are conditioning children on the up, you're going to become a 20-something-year-old that thinks blended families are not good. Or you might have a bad experience with a stepmom and say, see, that confirms it. Or you might become a stepmom yourself and then you're going to feel like, I'm ashamed. I don't want to tell people I'm a stepmom. I know what people are thinking of me, or perhaps I know what I think about stepmoms and I don't want people to think that way of me. Yeah. So we're hurting ourselves and we're hurting each other. So what we need to do is have more of these conversations. Yeah. So I can tell you why it's hard for a stepmom to be a stepmom and why you are adding fuel to that fire. Right? And then I need to be able to tell stepmoms, actually, you do not have to put on this identity that has been put out there. You can make your own. Let's do that. Let's get confident in that. Let's get empowered in that.
So on Happy Mum, Happy Baby, a parenting SOS, I ask you to come in with your top 3 most asked questions. The first one is, how do I become a confident stepmother?
Yeah.
It must be really difficult when you... I mean, it starts straight away, doesn't it? As soon as you meet those children, it's like knowing that by that point, you know that hopefully that your partner's going to be, you're going to be together for a long time. Yeah. And those children are going to be in your lives for a long time.
Hopefully.
So, you know, it's that thing of there's already so much
riding on it.
Yes. And you must come into that situation with so much expectation, hope, fear, vulnerability.
Yep. And then you got the external stuff as well. So you got the extended family members, and then you got society around you that has put some weight on your back as well. It's a lot. So you can't start the role confidently. I think if you can, you're amazing. You're a rarity. But it's understanding that you probably won't be confident. Just like, guess what? Every mum that has her first baby.
Exactly that.
You're not expecting her to know it all. You're not expecting her to get it right. You're actually telling her you will get it wrong. Yeah, but that's fine. There's loads of conversations that's been had about people that got it wrong and how they overcame. Let's listen to those so we maybe don't make the same mistakes. That's fine. That's all good. But then let's start to design what life looks like, right? Because you, in every stage of your life, I'm going to go to uni, I'm going to have this job, I'm going to be that woman walking down the street in my power heels. Like, you've had some kind of idea of what you want these parts of your life to look like. What do you want this to look like? Now, here's the key. When you write it down, when you get it out of your head and you said, okay, I want to be this type of parent, this type of person, I'm keen on housework, but I'm not keen on bath time. Just really breaking it down to the really mundane tasks that might just drive you nuts if you don't talk about it. You put it down, and then you have to go to your partner and say, hey, do we align? So it's about going to the man and saying, I'm happy to do this. I'm not happy to do this. We can negotiate on this. What does that look like? And then he's going to bring it, and we're actually going to sit there until we reach a compromise. Then we are going to present ourselves as a united team, couple, to the children. And then we're going to let them know this is what life is about to look like. How you feeling? You feeling okay about that? And then we're going to take our time and work it out. And guess what? If 6 months, 2 years in, we realise things are not working, we're going to do it all over again. We're going to keep re-evaluating and keeping it pushing. Then when we're talking about people on the outside, you've gotten so confident in your role at home that when people have opinions on what you do, you're looking at your partner saying, we got this, we got this. The children are happy and they understand what's going on. You can just ignore them. Just get on with it.
Your home is your home. And how you will communicate and how you will put your building blocks in place to work out what is going to work for you is the most important thing.
Absolutely, because when your building blocks fall, is it outside of your house that you're going to start blaming people? You can't. They weren't there. You were. So you take onus of what you can control, and you leave other people on the outside.
There's just so many variables, aren't there? And until you are in that situation, you've fallen in love with someone, and until you are actually in the home, in that situation, you do not know what that is going to look like. Absolutely. You don't know how the children are going to respond. You don't know how the exes are going to respond. And that is so much to carry.
Yeah. And when I'm explaining this, I'm thinking of 2 faithless people, a man and a woman, and some children. That's what I'm thinking of. Now, let's talk about if the man's black and the woman's white and the children are black. That's something. Let's talk about if the man's a Muslim and the woman's a Christian. That's another one. Or if we're talking about somebody that is living that kind of wild, kind of carefree, unschooling, homeschooling life. And then we're talking about the new partner that's quite regimented and like, I plan my day, every single second of it kind of thing. You've happened to fall in love. Like, we hear that opposites attract. These are all dynamics that you're going to have to work out.
Next question. I'm struggling to bond with my stepchildren. Help. Like, it's that bond thing is like we were talking about, that we have it when we give birth to our children. We have it if we're adopted children. And, that there's that pressure when you first meet them. And is the love going to instantly come? Like, it's no different.
At all. And I think, and this is why conversations are so good, because I'm able to say to you now, if a birth mum can give birth, that she's carried a child for basically 10 months and say, I don't feel anything. I don't know what's wrong. It's not coming to me. Or she's able to leave her child and go straight back to work, and everyone's like, you just had a baby. Sit down, hold your baby. If a birth mother can struggle, What makes you think that you will not? Of course, like it's a real possibility that you would.
Yeah.
So again, like I'm always saying, measure the reality of things. Don't come in with like rose-tinted glasses. Don't just hope for the absolute best. Measure everything in the reality of what it is. You may not bond. When you're meeting someone, you're just meeting someone.
Yeah.
This is not your stepchild. This is not your anything. Yeah, you happen to love this person's parent. So you're going to look at this person as an extension of the person that you love. And you're going to just lots and lots of grace and time. You're just casually, oh, what do you like to do? Like, what is your name? You probably know their name, but what's your name? When's your birthday? What do you do? And then it's the thing of actually introducing who you are and help them to measure expectations. Because guess what? When kids go to school, they know you're my teacher. I had 2 or 3 hours before I started school to spend time with you to understand that you're going to be my person for the next year and a half or whatnot, right? So you know your teacher is the person that you go to when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're confused. This is your core person. Then there might be the welfare officer, and you go to that person. What does this child go to you for? Who are you? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, those are legitimate questions. Like, why are you here? It's not like, because I love your dad. They don't care. They don't care about that. A step parent or the new partner should be able to look at this child and say, hey, I would like to be X, Y, and Z. So let's just say, for context, I'd like to be a friend. You know, I'm friends with your dad and I want to be friends with you as well. Is that cool? You know, can we play together? You know, what do you like to do? Can I do that too? That child may say no. I don't want to be your friend. You say, okay, cool. I'm going to see you again though. I'm going to see you again. Hopefully, maybe next time we can play together. Leave that child alone.
Yeah.
Leave that child alone. Try again in a couple of weeks. That's it.
And almost
it will come.
It must be really difficult not to take it personally, but you obviously have to not take it personally.
Yeah.
And realise that they have a lot of stuff going on. And because of the circumstances, you might be seen as a threat.
Yeah.
You know you're not a threat.
Yeah.
And as long as you just keep turning up with almost
Keep
no
showing
agenda,
up.
just keep showing up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you do that for work.
Yeah.
You may not like your colleagues might not like you, but you know why you're there because the light bill's coming. You're never going to look at the child and say, you did that on purpose, you did that to hurt me. They're not thinking about you. They're trying to cope.
Yeah.
They are dealing with big feelings that they can't even name. I'm just saying to the step parents, give yourself grace, give yourself time and meet that child like you're just meeting another human.
Yeah.
That is it. When that person starts to trust you or becomes familiar with you, then you can really kick into gear what family is looking like. Then you're saying, you know, I'm not just your friend. I'm your family and I'm here for you. I'm riding for you. You can trust me. But they have to be familiar with you first.
Yeah. And I guess as the adult, you can be so focused and so, you know, hell-bent on getting this bond sorted. Whereas actually maybe the best thing is slowly and to ease the pressure.
Yeah. And a lot of biological parents are not getting on with their biological children right now.
Yeah.
Forget about divorce, blended this, and like the hormones kicked up and I don't know you anymore. We have to relearn that child all over again. And it's good for a step parent to know as well. Parents know their child to a certain point, and then one day they wake up and they're a new version of themselves. And you have to start again. That child used to sit on your lap and love tickles. Now that child doesn't want to be touched. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to be like, oh, okay, there's a new version of you today. Let's take time to get to understand the things that you need in this season of your life.
Another question you were asked is, my partner can't understand why I find things hard. Why?
More than often, your partner's looking at you as mum. It doesn't have to be as deep as you're not their biological mum. It's just your mum, right? So he just expects you to get on with it. If you sit down and say, you know, I'm struggling, your teenager doesn't like me, doesn't want to talk to me, they're actually really rude to me, the dad is going to look at stepmom and say, just deal with it, like, just a teenager. But dads seldom are able to put themselves in the position of the stepmom. So again, measure in reality, they have no idea what it's like for you. Let's not expect that they would, right? So what you need to do to remedy that is to get really vocal.
Right.
One thing I teach my clients is how to raise their voice without shouting. Get attention. And there's obviously strategies for it, but you need to be able to have dialogue with your partner and say, you may not understand, but this is what it is. The whole thing of becoming a step-parent is having that clarity of who you are, who you want to be, and how you're going to get there. When you get really, really clear about that, in all these scenarios, you're able to relay your wants and your needs. And then you're able to see if these people who you're speaking to can help you in it.
We ask our community to send in some questions. So one of them is, the first one, how do you navigate cultural differences in a blended family?
Things like this are conversations that need to be had, right, between the partner, but also it throws the ball back in society's like court, right? If you keep looking at stepmoms as this one-dimensional Lady Jermaine from Cinderella type woman, we're always going to add to strains in a blended family. So between the couple that has two different religions, or one's African and one's British, or one's black, one's white, we have to talk about, okay, in our home, what do we want to share? Or what do we want to keep away? Yeah. And that ties into parenting styles as well. And then you have to come to a compromise in that. And unfortunately, and I hope no one gets upset, this is not for the birth mum to chime in or not. Be like, that's too many cooks in the kitchen, okay? If there's cultural differences, religious differences, racial differences, whatever it is, within one home, that's enough to deal with. You have to compromise between yourselves about what we're going to talk about. And I remember around COVID and all the racial tensions that were blaring up, I remember I put it out there. If you are in an interracial couple, you need to be having this conversation with your stepchildren, or with the kids in the house. Don't just think that, me as a black woman, I can be enraged about what things are going on and my white husband can just be my ally, or he just might not pay any attention to it and that's it. No. Unfortunately, when you are in a multicultural or, where there's actual lifestyle differences within a house, you have to speak to those things. Let's not pretend it's there. So if you're an Asian woman and you're with a black man, let's not come to the children and act like, I eat plantain or I eat ackee and saltfish. I do not. I don't eat that kind of thing. This is my cultural food. This is what I like. We're not just, as a stepmom, you're not just going to slide in there and fit their mold.
You bring your own different,
that's it.
Literally flavours.
That's it.
Sense. Yeah.
Quite literally.
Another question. When it comes to financial situations, do you think a stepmother should be supporting stepchildren?
I don't. I do not, unless, right, there has been a conversation in the beginning. I don't think it's an expectation on a step-parent at all, ever, right? But I think if a step-parent has the option, maybe you should take it on, right? You should participate because we're a home, we're a family, we're a body, okay? And if we are all functioning in this body, right, we should all be contributing to the success of it, right? And not withholding parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
And our finances are a part of ourselves. Where I don't agree is when somebody comes into a household that is semi-formed and you've put this expectation on their head. In the same way, I wouldn't say you must expect a step-parent to love their stepkids. A step-parent does not have all the rights to the children. So you cannot expect to have all the rights from that human. But to give that person an option, I think it's okay for a partner to say to a step-parent, I would love you to participate in the finances of raising these children as well. And understand that there's actually a payoff. and to say to that parent, and I also respect you as a caregiver and somebody that is raising these children as well.
Another question. Is it normal for the relationship with the stepkids to go backwards? I've started to dread them coming over.
Yeah. It's completely normal. In the same way I said you can wake up and the teen that loved hugs is telling you don't touch me anymore. It is normal. And as we grow, we learn and we decide on things that may have been okay before that is not anymore. I think, though, as much as it can be normal, it's not right. And if something has gone back
as well, like we were saying before, like certain things happen with children's development in terms of their hormones, their emotions, their stages of life. Like every parent will get pushed back at certain times. So is part of it almost as the adult kind of going, at this point, it's not me. Like you're going through a stage and we'll also...
Yeah, absolutely. As long as that child is not disrespectful, just unnecessarily making things hard for that step parent, because that's not okay. It's not permissible in any circumstance. So I think if things have gone backwards, it's for the biological parents to say, hey, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Like, can you articulate it? And if they can't, it's about giving your expectations to the child, saying, okay, like, if you feel like you're not close to this person anymore, you don't really want to have a relationship with that person, that's fine. But I need you to uphold respect and decency and be civil.
Yeah.
And then you just leave them alone.
Our community voted communication with children's other parent as the leading challenge faced as a step-parent. Before managing mental health, bonding with stepchildren and balancing work and family life. That communication between birth mothers, birth fathers. I mean, in an ideal world, everyone would respect everyone and we'd all just get along.
And I think as much as the other parent or the non-resident parent in the step family is the outside voice to the child, that's the central voice. Okay, so a lot of the time I've seen birth mums completely lose it because their sense of control, but like a healthy control over the situations that pertain to your child, has been knocked off balance, right? Or has been even snatched away from you on those weekends, on them long holidays or whatnot. But you have a power there. And this is about me measuring reality again. The way society's set up, mums have a lot of power when it comes to what is happening to their children. Sometimes, more over dads. We just have to be real, okay? So when a dad is, in a new relationship, a birth mum has the power to come and present herself as somebody that wants to be conducive to the success of everything. And if you do present yourself in such a manner, why would your co-parent and their new partner shut you out? They don't see you as a threat. They don't see you as someone that hates what's going on here. They don't see you as someone that doesn't want the stepmom around. They see you as someone that is trying to work it out with you. Sometimes it might get heated. Sometimes you might fall out. That's normal. That's, as long as everyone understands, we're going to fall out sometimes. That's normal, but we're going to get it back together because we have a unified goal here. So what I'm saying is it sounds like I'm putting everything on the birth mum shoulders, but what I'm saying is that you are such a foundational element to family living for your child, whether you're with that child's dad or not. You have such a power, such a responsibility. Harness that for the absolute best. I'm saying this as faceless people, but I know that man might have done you dirty. That man might have hurt you beyond your wildest dreams. That man, he might cheat. He might be the reason why you are not feeling in control of your emotions. He might be doing something, or it might even be the stepmom. The stepmom might just be horrible. I'm not going to act like all stepmoms are saints. That, like, it's not one extreme to the other. She might be horrible. You guys might have had a perfect co-parenting relationship. Then she came along. If anyone
within that is perceiving someone to be a threat, is if there's an element of jealousy or suspicion or whatever that is, if any one of those three or four, if both people have a partner, feels that way, then the boat is rocked.
Oh, absolutely.
So surely you have to come to a situation with a place of openness and respect
and united goals. Yeah. We all have to see each other and want this.
Because this is the situation. The situation ain't going anywhere. This is where we are.
It's just the reality of it. Like, everyone's here. What shall we do?
Yeah, and it's that thing of, like, we don't have to like each other. We don't have to be best mates, but this is where we are.
Because in what life do you like everybody?
Yeah.
In no life at all. So, like, let's just be realistic. I think I've said realistic so much, but we just got to be realistic.
Yeah. One of our community members asked, why do you think it often becomes a battle of the females, stepmum versus mum?
Okay. Partly it's because of the man. Yeah, the man not understanding that you put the stepmom in this position, you put the birth mum in this position. That's regardless of whether the woman left you or not, the birth mum left you or not. You are the central man in the middle. You need to work to bring these women to meet you here in the middle, okay? You don't get to look at the stepmom and say, go work it out, and look at the birth mum and say, go work it out, and I'm going to function in my comfort. No, the man has such a work to do. If you want to move on and you've had kids with somebody else, you have such a work to do. Go and do whatever you need to do to enable you to do it. If you need to go therapy, if you need to chat to the man them every other weekend and say, bro, what should I do? Go do that. Go do that. But you cannot sit and hope for the best. That's the first thing. Second thing is, a lot of the time, the mum feels like you've come to replace me. You need to speak to that. The only way you can speak to that is if you go to the stepmom and say, I feel uncomfortable. Your presence makes me feel uncomfortable, and this is why. I feel like it's been this way for a long time, and, so-and-so's dad has moved on with you, and I knew it'll probably happen, but I feel really uncomfortable. And now, stepmom, here's your time to shine, okay? If your heart's in the right place, your only job, it's not to come and talk about what you've come here to do, what you want to do. At this point, it's just not about you.
Yeah.
This is my key advice. If a birth mum has come to meet you, your only job, understanding that this birth mum has superpowers in this game, okay? Your only job is to appease her. Speak to her insecurities and tell her, you may be uncomfortable with me being around, but I want to assure you, I don't want to do anything to upset you. I want to work things out with you, okay? I want to make sure that we're doing the absolute best so, I can be happy in my relationship, I can be happy around your children, and I can help. I can be a benefit to this family. Yeah. That's it.
We end the podcast with you completing 3 sentences.
Okay.
The first one is being a stepmum means.
Being a stepmum means to define how you can be a bonus in the life of your partner and the young people there.
If I could tell you one thing, it would be...
If I could tell you one thing, it would be take up space. Take up space where you're at unapologetically. It's not going to kill you. You won't die.
And I'm happy when?
I'm happy when I think about a time when this conversation won't feel so forced, but it will be just as big as those conversations we have around biological motherhood, women's health, and equity in the workplace for women.
You're doing an amazing job getting it out there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.